Hi everyone, welcome back to Ask an Autism Mom Live with Jenn Eggert of LakiKid.com. You can join her every Monday live on Facebook to learn tips, meet other parents, and share your insights. She will tackle any topic from the dreaded meltdown to the basics of how autism can affect a family.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Ask an Autism Mom. I'm Jenn Eggert from LakiKid.com, and you can join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern to share your insights, meet other parents, and learn tips and tricks. On today's show, I am talking with Nicole from Magical Storybook Travel, and we will be sharing travel tips and other things travel related for special needs families. First, I want to say thank you, Nicole, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And I want you all to know Nicole is, and I'll get into her bio, she is not just a travel agent. She is a mom of an autistic child, so she understands exactly where we are coming from. If we've been through it, chances are she's probably been through it too.
This is true.
So I want to welcome all of you, those of you watching on Facebook or listening to the podcast on iTunes or YouTube. If you want to get alerts to ask questions live and watch us live, you can visit LakiKid.com/live or type the number 5 in the comment section now. Again, to subscribe to live updates, type the number 5 in the comment section now. I want to welcome you all for being here. So far, we have Jason and Maria. Welcome. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Ask an Autism Mom Live, and I am sitting down today with Nicole from Magical Storybook Travel, talking all things special needs travel related. I can't wait to dig into today's topic with you, but first, a huge shout out to our sponsors. Everyone knows that LakiKid is our sponsor. Of course, my shirt, everything else. And y'all know we make amazing quality products. Look at our wiggle seat. 2 different textures. Soft bumps on one side, porcupine type bumps on the other. And guess what? For a very limited time, as in only the first 100 people, can get this wiggle seat for only the cost of shipping. How much is shipping? Shipping is $9.99. So our product is on for $9.99. So go ahead, and at the end of the show, I will put the link for the wiggle seat and how to get it. So let's carry on with our show. So first of all, we have Nicole Thibault, who's a mom of 3 boys, 1 with autism, 1 neurotypical, and 1 with childhood apraxia of speech and sensory processing disorder. She lives with her boys and her husband and 3 cats in Western New York. She's also a certified autism travel professional and advocate for autism travel. Folks, this is the big part. She is certified to know how to help an autism family travel safely and enjoyably. She blogs about her experiences traveling with her boys and shares her knowledge with other moms and dads, clients, and other travel agents, the travel agents, and the travel industry as a whole. She is an international public speaker about autism travel and speaks regularly at travel industry-related shows about the challenges facing families with autism while vacationing. Her travel agency, Magic Storybook Travels, has helped hundreds of families with autism travel with less stress and more ease. She assists with all of the planning and booking, but also does something called pre-travel counseling. Folks, this is important. I want you to listen about this when we get into it in the show. With the family, including the child or person with autism, to make sure they are aware of the details of the trip ahead of time. How many of us struggle with, I know Riley went away with my parents last week. Exactly. I struggle. You struggle. We struggle with this travel as a whole. Riley came home Saturday from 4 days with my parents, and it was like, what time did you go to bed? 11, I think. Your bedtime's 9. How many meltdowns did you have? Grandma, I had none, right? No, you had 5. So, folks, this pre-travel counseling is important. She also owns Spectrum Travel Social Story Videos, a production company that produces destination-specific autism social story videos for kids on the spectrum. And they could also, I'm assuming, be used for adults. Correct, Nicole?
Absolutely. Yep.
They're very user-friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're made both for kids and parents, so everybody can watch.
They also produce informational videos for parents so that they can understand how to obtain and use disability passes and such. Nicole's always planning her next trip with her sons. This summer, they will be heading to a mountain getaway in the Adirondack Mountains of New York for hiking and boating. And then before school starts, they're going to Orlando to Universal. Oh, I'm jealous. So, Nicole, let's get started. What do you do and why do you do it?
Well, like you said, I'm an autism travel professional certified by IBCCS, who is the organization that is certifying both agents and destinations. And I do it because of my son, mainly. I always wanted to be that kind of mom who just had 5 kids in tow and just went everywhere in the world. And I was like Angelina Jolie in all these airports. And when my husband and I got together, we wanted to make sure that family travel was a big priority for us. And so when my son was born, we went on our first cruise when he was 6 months old. We went to Disney every 6 months. And we thought he'd become this little traveler, just accustomed to everything. And everything was fine up until about 2.5 years old. And we went to Disney like we had been doing many times before. And it was Meltdown City. It was horrible. He melted down in lines. He melted down when we were in restaurants and there were specific smells like garlic or fish or something. He hated the smells. He hated the characters. He hated everything about the trip. And we didn't have a diagnosis at that point. This was kind of almost like our moment, this vacation that we took. Something's not right here. Something's going on and we need to figure out what it is. And we had just had our second son. So we were like, well, is it because we were adjusting to having a brother and a sister, whatever, a sibling. But we came home and we called for an evaluation. And it was maybe a month or 2 later that they said, yes, you have autism. So they kind of crushed our travel dreams for a while. And we thought, well, we're never going anywhere again. And I got involved in a lot of mommy and me groups with our autism community here in Western New York. And I asked the other parents, I said, well, how do you do it? How do you travel? What do you do? And so many of them said, well, we don't travel. We don't go anywhere. I can't even go to the grocery store, let alone think about taking a vacation with my kid. And I thought, that's horrible. I've got to figure out how to make this work for us. We took 2 years off from any vacations right after a diagnosis, trying to figure out how this is going to work, and we were just going through the 40 hours a week of therapy and going to doctor's appointments and all that stuff. But we started out small. We did a little weekend trip. We did an overnight in a hotel and slowly sort of built up from there and started traveling again and really learning how to find out the accommodations at each destination and how to use them properly and the best way for our family and our needs, because obviously it's going to be different for every family in autism. But when he went to kindergarten, I was looking for something that I could do from home part-time. I didn't want to work full-time. I didn't want to work in an office. I wanted to be home when he got on the bus, off the bus, for the therapist and all that stuff. And my mother-in-law said, you'd be great as a travel agent. Disney like the back of your hand, and you've really figured out ways to do it with your son. What if you did that and helped other families? So that's where it got started about 7 years ago. And ever since then, I've been really focusing on autism families and helping them. Of course, I help everybody. I help other people with different disabilities, but I really focus on that autism piece because it's so prevalent and because there's so many parents out there struggling to figure out how to make it work.
I agree. Now, we discussed briefly in your biography about the pre-travel counseling session. Can you kind of get more into that for us and explain why it's helpful and how they can use it to their benefit?
Sure. I had a client once. It was a family of 3 kids and a mom going on a cruise. And, she's like, my son is really struggling about this cruise. He's never been on a ship before. He doesn't know what it's like. He's got such anxiety about going someplace new that I'm afraid that he's not going to enjoy any of it because he's just concentrating on all the questions that he has in his mind. And I said, well, let's sit down and talk about it. So not just with mom, but with the whole family. I sat down with the kids and I said, what questions do you have? Let me show you what you're going to encounter while you're on your trip. And his biggest concern was, what does the toilet look like on the cruise ship in my stateroom? Okay, well, if that's the big hurdle here and this is giving you anxiety, let me show you. So I pulled up a video that showed the inside of the stateroom, and then I kind of paused on the screen where it showed the bathroom, and I said, here it is. Does that make you feel better? And he's like, yeah, that does make me feel better. Now I know, and now I can just sort of take that anxiety out of my mind. And I see this with my own son. He's kind of nervous about going someplace new. He's nervous about a lot of the rides because he doesn't like anything with motion. So we do a lot of watching YouTube videos of rides before we go. So, okay, he was really afraid of Haunted Mansion at Disney. Mm-hmm. He's like, it's scary in there. I'm like, listen, buddy, Disney doesn't do scary, okay? It's funny scary. You're going to love it. It's no big deal. But the whole outside facade of the building was just freaking him out. I said,
we went through that this weekend with Carowinds at Boo Blasters. It's ghosts everywhere and it's scary. No, it's fun.
Right. Yeah. But he watched the video like 500 times before we went on our next trip. And then by the time we got there, he's like, oh, I know what I'm going to see in there, so I'm fine. So it's just a lot of it I find most people, most kids, is that anxiety piece is just holding them back and not letting them enjoy the vacation, enjoy the experience. We do a lot of watching of YouTube videos, looking at websites that have pictures of the insides of the rooms at the resorts. And I go through all the activities that they might be doing on their trip. What's on your itinerary? Let's talk about it. Let's watch a video about it. And I find that pre-travel counseling session really sets the family up for success on their trip.
Now, for your pre-counseling sessions, just to let everyone know, are they only in person or do you offer online? Because a lot of our families are spread across the United States.
Totally. I do a lot of stuff online. Basically, almost like what we're doing right now. Whether it's Facebook video chat or via iPhone, iChat or whatever, we find a way to talk. And I can meet with the kids. I can meet with the parents. I can meet with the whole family if that's necessary.
Wonderful. Now, our next question is, I know you do a lot on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Can you talk to me about your YouTube, what you do on YouTube for us?
Sure. So I talked a little bit about how my son likes to watch the videos to calm himself about what's coming up on a vacation. And a lot of the stuff he was seeing was filmed by like random people. Just you're panning through a hotel room, and then you see the person in the mirror and, maybe they're dressed in their bathing suit or underpants, or you don't know. It's not like a kid-approved video they might stumble upon. And I thought, well, what if there was videos that are specific to a destination and are specifically made for kids with autism? So they're safe and they're located centrally so that you can find them. And my kid is all into YouTube. I think every kid is into YouTube. So I said, okay, well, let's make some destination-specific videos. And I had this idea 2.5 years ago, and I self-funded for the first year, and we took some trips, and we petitioned different destinations to let us come and film on their property. And the first one we went to was Tradewinds Island Resort in Florida, which is along the coast. It has a very great kids program that's very autism friendly. And we went to Legoland because I know they have a great Blue Hero Pass available for kids on the spectrum. And we filmed there the first time with my son Emerson. He's the actor. And we went to the quiet rooms and we showed people how to use the Blue Hero Pass and how to find a quiet space. And we made a video for kids about what to do if you get lost. And we went back again and we filmed at Universal Studios and SeaWorld. And we have those all up on www.stssv.com or Spectrum Travel Social Story Videos channel on YouTube. They're in both places. We also have filmed at Sesame Place in Pennsylvania, Langhorne, Pennsylvania. They are a certified autism center. Mm-hmm. So they have been certified by IBCCS, and their staff has all been trained in autism awareness, sensory awareness. They have purchased their videos, so they're not housed with me, but they're housed on the Sesame Place channel. So if you're looking for our videos on Sesame Place, that's where you can find them. They're free to anybody. Anybody can watch them. They're just made for families with autism who need a little extra help before they leave to understand what things are coming at their destination.
And everyone knows, people who know me, and they always ask, where's the first place I should bring my child to test? And I always say, if you can get to Legoland or Sesame Place, those are the most controlled environments.
Right.
So they are the best to test. Now, do you limit your work to just autism?
No, I help all families. So I help families that are just completely typical. I've helped families with mobility issues, kids in wheelchairs, grandma's recovering from chemo but wants to go with the kids on a trip. How can we best help grandma get through the trip? I helped a child with short bowel syndrome, which was an interesting one for me. But I listened to the parents. We talked about what the needs are and helped direct them to the right resort for them. So
now, we kind of already talked about pre-diagnosis travel. How is it now that you have a diagnosis? How is travel for your son?
My kids are now, my oldest is 14. He's the one with autism. He's almost 15. The middle one is almost 13. He's typical. And then our little guy is 11 and a half, and he has sensory processing disorder. And we are slowly starting to expand our comfort bubble. So I often say that kids with autism, you know, they have this little comfort bubble. They're very comfortable in there. Don't mess with it. But for me, I firmly believe that you need to
pull them outside of their boundaries slowly.
Not push, but just push them just slightly so that they expand their bubble and make their world a little bit bigger. I don't like to use the word push, but so we try to do something new for my son on every trip. So it might challenge his comfort zone a little bit, but then he grows and we can do a little bit more each time. So for example, we did Discovery Cove in Orlando last February, and it had just become a certified autism center like the day before, and we're like, okay, we're going. And my son has this anxiety about swimming with creatures in the water.
I'm with him.
So he, again, with he watched a YouTube video about a whale pooping. And it was giant, this massive poo that came out of the whale, and it freaked him out for life about swimming with creatures, which is hard, going to the ocean, you want to get in the water, but there, and I'm like, listen, there's the whales are way out there. And he's like, oh no, this is all water. It's all touching the poop. So,
Yep, I'm with him.
So we're going to go to Discovery Cove, and we're going to do a whale encounter, or a dolphin encounter, where you get to pet the dolphin, take some pictures, and then you get to hold onto its fin while it swims along. And he was kind of like, nah, I don't think I'm going to do this. I think I'm good. And I'm like, no, we're going to do this. We're going to try. We're going to do this. And I can't tell you how great the dolphin trainers were with him, because they could see him sort of backing away, like, and they're like, it's okay. Come on, just with one hand, just kind of, and they could see what was happening, and he did great. It was like one of those tearful moments where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe he did this, and I was so proud of him for trying and getting through it. But wouldn't you know, on the last pet, the dolphin's going by, and doesn't it poop right in front of him? I don't know.
I'm sorry, that's just our luck as an autism parent. That is just our luck as an autism parent. Yep. It was so successful, and then boom, there's a brick wall.
But it was the last moment. It was the last moment, and then we could go do something different. So he made it through. But I really hope that each time we plan a vacation, we try something different. We try something new. So when we go to Universal Studios, he's never been before. He doesn't like up and down rides, which was most of what Universal Studios is. It's big rides. So we're trying to, again, YouTube video a lot of these rides ahead of time so he can see, like, this is not like a roller coaster. This is like a motion seat that moves you along with a video that's in front of you. It's completely different. Again, it's a lot of preparation. We talk a lot about our vacations beforehand. And some people say I shouldn't do that because then he thinks about it too much, gets excited, and it takes too long. I mean, we're already preparing for a vacation that's not till the end of August. But for me, I feel like that doing that really gets it into his bones that this is an okay experience. We're going to be just fine. I know what everything looks like. And I think for us, it comes out much better if we do a lot of pre-planning in advance.
I agree. And I just want to add, if you know you're going on a ride that has the 3D glasses, please explain it to your child beforehand. I forgot last weekend, and I put Riley on the motion ride, and we were killing, it was Monsters versus Zombies, or Plants versus Zombies, that video game.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot to tell her it was 3D, and she goes, oh no, Mama, they're going to get me. And I'm like, I can't reach you. I'm like, no, it's just the way it looks. So those little things, don't forget, folks, we need to remember those silly little things. Now, I do see people's questions piling up. I will get to them in one more minute. I have one more question for Nicole, and that is, what do you still struggle with when traveling?
It's that anxiety piece every time. It gets us every time. For my son with autism, it's the anxiety. And for my little guy with sensory processing disorder, it's the sounds, the loud sounds. We went to, I had a conference at Beaches, Turks and Caicos, and we brought the whole family with us. And I didn't think to bring his noise canceling headphones because like what's there that's going to be loud? We're near the ocean. It's not like there's rides or music or whatnot. And they have nightly plays and shows that they do for the kids and the family. And they had it so loud. I have a little picture of my guy, and he's just sitting there like this. He's like, no, I can't take it. And we had to leave. We had to find alternate activities for him in the evening because he couldn't do it. Fireworks all the time. We have to find an alternate location for him to see them. He's getting better with age. You know, he's 11 and a half now, but he still like hates any loud noises. So those are our two big challenges. But other than that, they're really up for any adventure. Well, let's say, okay, not ziplining, but parachuting, maybe not so much. My little guy with sensory processing, yes, he loves anything fast, furious. He's always sensory seeking. But my oldest,
wonderful park. It's 3 different parks in one. And one is all natural and it's got zip lines and music that you can make with little, and the other one is all inclusive. They have wheelchair swings. The ramps are all wheelchair accessible. So I get it. It's great when you have a seeker because you can we're able to go to one large park and find something for our seeker and for our neurotypical kids.
Right.
And our nephew who has spina bifida, and he walks, he does everything, but he gets tired.
Yeah.
So finding the best thing works best. Now, I'm going to go to the question section now. Alicia, we understand, like Nicole and I just discussed, every single detail of this trip having to be explained is normal. And especially yours, yeah, you got a school-age child, so you're going to have a lot of questions and a lot of what's next.
I would even suggest making a social story paper copy of the trip that's coming up, so that if you don't want to talk about it all the time, you can just give them the story and say, here's our itinerary, here's pictures of what we're going to be doing and descriptions of each. And that way they can read it as many times as they want themselves or with therapists.
Now, Jason has a question, and I think it's an amazing question, and it's one that a lot of us deal with. What do you do while you are waiting in line? I think that was the most difficult part when they go to an amusement park.
Mm-hmm. Well, two things. One, I always make sure that we're using the disability pass at that destination. Most have them of some kind. So like Disney has what's called the DAS, D-A-S, Disability Access Service Pass. Universal calls it the RAP Pass, Ride Accessibility Program, so that you're accessing a shorter line or you're accessing the ride through the exit, right? So that you're not waiting in 45 minutes to an hour and a half, because that's not going to work for anybody. And then I also carry what I call my sensory travel toolkit. It's a little backpack with fidget toys and electronics and charging devices and all sorts of little things that we can do along the way to kind of help with that waiting process.
I just want to say, Monica Campos, please ask your question and we will deal with it. If you don't want to ask live, you can PM me the question personally to Jenn Eggert, my personal Facebook account, and I will add Nicole into the conversation, and we can help you that way if it's something you don't feel comfortable commenting on here. Nicole, I don't think you'd have a problem with that, would you?
No, not at all.
Now, Jason wants to ask, and Nicole, this is probably something that Jason and I will have to introduce you to in the future. Have you ever worked with KultureCity and their sensory inclusive locations?
Mm-mm, I have not, but I've heard a little bit about KultureCity, but not too much.
Jason, let's take note of this. We will get you in contact with them. They're an amazing program that actually builds sensory inclusive areas with the toolkit, your flat pad, your fidgets, your noise canceling headphones. We just did a live Kickstarter, and folks, Jason and I want to thank you all so much. We have been successful with our Kickstarter, so we should be getting product in the next while. I'm not quite sure the time frame, but we are working with KultureCity on that as well. So Nicole, you and I will talk after.
Okay.
And we will talk about KultureCity and how to videos for them would be awesome. Now, Melissa, every kid is different also. So just because one person believes it's too much for their child doesn't mean it's not good for your child. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's different. That's why when I have a client come to me, we sort of go over a checklist. What are your issues? What are your sensitivity to sound, light, smells, food? I mean, my son has severe food aversions. He eats 5 foods. So we have a completely different set of planning processes than somebody else who doesn't have food aversions, needs everything. So it really is an individualized plan that I work with my clients with to make sure that they're going to be okay.
And I just want to add to that. I mean, what works this week might not work in 2 weeks. I'm sorry, folks, but we all know it's true.
Yeah.
Riley love, I can't remember what it was. And this weekend we offered it to her and she goes, oh, salami. This weekend I offered her some and she goes, what is that? I'm like, oh, okay.
Are we off it now?
We're done. So, Jessica, I'm so happy you made it. I know life has been stressful. It's been a little crazy here. And I'm so happy that traveling is getting better for you guys, but you never know what can happen. And folks, that is something that I bet Nicole will push. Prepare for the unexpected.
Oh, absolutely. And manage your expectations. I feel like so many parents are like, this is going to be wonderful. And I'm like, oh, no, wait. You're still going to have some issues somewhere along the way. Somebody's going to have a meltdown. Something's going to happen. So just make sure that you have realistic expectations when you go on vacation. It's not going to be all, Disney roses and rainbows.
Now, Jason has another question, and this is important. How do you get the special passes at a place like Disney?
Most places have the passes at guest services. And I do some of the videos on stssv.com. stssv.com. So we actually show a mom and a son going into Universal Studios guest services, and it shows the interaction between the parent and the guest services person, and it also lists the instruction in text below it, so you can kind of see what that interaction looks like. Go into guest services, say, look, I'm traveling with a child with autism. These are our issues. A lot of times they don't need any kind of written confirmation of a diagnosis.
Okay, that was my next question.
Yeah, they can't look at it. It's against HIPAA laws. So they don't want to see any documentation, but they want to hear from you why it's difficult for your child to wait in line. I have autism, and we have problems with noises and crowds and being in confined, closed spaces. And
just to make an example of someone that is watching that has asked this question, Jason, you and I have talked extensively, of course, and so I know your son's issues. You would approach almost on the fact that he has ADHD and autism.
Mm-hmm.
He can't hold still. He can't handle waiting. He has problems with the loud noises.
Mm-hmm.
So you would really make it personal, folks. I know it's hard, but give them your story. Tell them why it's hard.
And
now,
sometimes I think it's hard too, because for my son, if you were to look at him, you might not know that there's an issue. So I have to be his advocate and explain to them why. I mean, some kids walk in, you can look at him in 1 second and be like, okay, I understand what's going on here. With autism, it's not always the case. It's, can be an invisible disability. So you really have to share your story and get kind of personal and tell them why it's necessary. And then also the videos do show then how to use the disability pass after you've gotten it. So.
And I will be putting all of these links to her videos and her websites in group later today. Might take me a little bit. It's somebody's 37th birthday, and apparently my
happy birthday
plan. So I will get there today, folks. But for those of you who have already seen in group, I'm a little busy. Now, great question, Melissa. Thank you, Miguel. Are the passes at these theme parks, do they cost money or are they free?
No cost. They're completely free to the person with a disability. And usually what the rule is there is the person with the disability with a pass, and then there's usually 5 to 6 people that can go with them on their pass. So if you have a family that's a little larger, you may have to split up, or you may have to petition guest services to add a few extra people on, which they may or may not do. So if you're traveling with grandma and grandpa, it gets a little tricky. But yes.
But you can keep your family of 4 or 5 together.
Absolutely.
With a special pass.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I know that's important to many of us. Why put out the money when we don't actually get to benefit?
Right. So, for example, at Disney, you get what's called the DAS pass, the DAS. And what it does is it gives you a chance to get what's called a return time. So you would walk up to a ride, say Buzz Lightyear spin, and the wait time in the regular line is going to be like an hour. Obviously, you can't wait that long. What they do is they take 10 minutes off of that hour and they give you a 50-minute return time. So they want you to come back in 50 minutes. You don't have to have the person with autism with you to get the return time, which is really important. Because for my son, walking up to a ride and then walking away again does not work. He's like, I don't understand why we can't go on this ride right now. But
so you can walk away from them and get their return time.
So I leave my son with my husband. I go get the return time. Then I come back. And then we do something else. We go on a shorter line ride. We get a lunch or a snack. We go to the bathroom, whatever. And then when we come back in 50 minutes, we just show our pass. Well, now it's actually in your phone. It's not a physical pass anymore. But you show them your phone, and then they let you into the fast pass line. So it's really only like a 10 to 15 minute wait as opposed to an hour wait. That's how it works.
Now, Christy, no, by law, they cannot ask for documentation due to HIPAA privacy issues. You need to provide your story and explain your child's specific needs and struggles. Melissa, do you know if everyone has these passes?
As far as I know, every theme park that I know of, yes, does have them within the United States. I'm not sure, like in Mexico, the Xcaret, I don't know if they have one, something like that. But I do know in the United States, pretty much everybody has one. Six Flags all have them.
If you're in South Carolina and North Carolina and go to Carowinds, they say they have them, but I learned the hard way, no.
Okay.
So I want to thank all of you for joining us. Unfortunately, our show ran a little bit late today, but that's okay because we really needed to get this topic out of the way. Summer's coming, people are traveling, and things are happening. I want to remind you that you can get our wiggle seat with the both different sides for sensory input. You can inflate it as much or as little as you want for sensory input, and those are on sale for the first 100 people for just the cost of shipping, which is $9.99. The link for that is on the screen right now and in the comments section, so you can check it out. Also, I want to go back to Nicole for a quick minute. Nicole has a very special project coming up next August. If you want to give us a quick 2-minute rundown of that before we end.
Sure. So I'm partnering with another travel agency called vacationkids.com. And the woman who runs that is a pediatric nurse. So we're a perfect team. And we're doing an autism family group trip to Walt Disney World and Aquatica next August. We tried to get something together for this August, but it was just too short of a time to pull something together for people because it costs money to go. And I think having a short time span to kind of put that savings away was difficult. So we put it off for a year. So it'll be August 15th through the 22nd, 2020. And each family that goes gets a LakiKid rental home, which is also, again, a certified autism center. Run by Alice Key, which I think was a previous guest of yours. Yes, Alice Horn. Sorry. Sorry, Alice. I love you.
She's been with us a few times. Most of you know her.
She's amazing. She's a great lady. Each family gets their own home. They get a car so that they can come and go as they please, because we know that meltdowns happen whenever. And if you need to leave when you need to leave, go right ahead. There's going to be a welcome dinner for all families that come. There's going to be a parent night out. So we're getting therapists from CARD, Center for Autism and Related Disorders. They're going to come and babysit the kids while parents get a night out. How crazy is that? Then there's 5 days of Disney and 1 day at Aquatica. And I'm talking too fast. Sally Black and I will be in the theme parks assisting families. So this is not one-on-one assistance, but this is for families who maybe have been hesitant to try to go to Disney because they need a little bit of extra support. So Sally and I will be in the parks with our cell phones, and we will be doing a lot of pre-travel counseling before the trip via a private Facebook. And then while we're on the trip, we will be there to help you along the way. If you have meltdowns or questions, we will be meeting families at guest services every morning to help them get the pass. So if you're unsure of how to do it, hey, we'll be there. We'll walk you through the process. No problem. In person.
You have to re-get the pass every day.
Nope, just on that first day.
Okay.
But this trip is also kind of, it's structured slightly. But if you are having a bad day, meltdowns everywhere, and you're like, I think we're just going to hang out at the pool for the day, that's completely fine too. But we're there to assist in any way we can.
Jessica, Nicole is in our private Facebook group, and I know you are as well. Or yeah, 95% sure you are. Almost 99%. So hook up with Nicole in the Facebook group because you do want more information. And folks, remember, every like, share, comment, tag is appreciated by us and by our visitors. And also, don't forget, in this week's special, tag your friends if you know that they've been thinking about the wiggle seat or if they've been looking at alternative flexible seating. $9.99 for a wiggle seat is a very, very good price. So I want to thank everyone for coming today. Nicole, especially thank you. I really appreciate you sharing your tips and your insight with us. Again, I will get Nicole into Facebook group later, and we will post all of her links so that everyone has more information that they can use to be helpful. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Again, my name is Jenn Eggert, and I'm from LakiKid.com, Ask an Autism Parent, and you can join me live every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern to ask your questions, share your insights, and meet other parents and learn tips and tricks. Thank you all for coming, and remember, every child brings good luck.